Okay. Plus, you can feel when I step on the hip like that, it's like
it closes it up.
There's just nothing you can do. You feel worthless. Your elbow escape just gets completely shut out of the picture. So once again, we're here working with our training partner. I do a good job of stepping over my opponent. I bring my body up, and instead of stepping wide, conventional, where there's a danger of ankle exposure, I step inside. My foot goes over the hip, and I just step right on his hip. Then I just pressure down. I put my little hobbit foot right there on his hip and start coming up. Now from here, my 2 feet come in and they pinch around his hips. So when he goes to elbow escape, there's just nothing to work with. Then we start walking his arms up, and look at that, we're mounted. Okay? So I'm just going to show you from the other angle. You won't be able to see my foot from this angle, but you will be able to see my step over, and that's important. So from here, I start by covering his hips. I bring my knee right above his hip like so. Don't have your hip down. You don't want hip to hip, you want knee to hip. From knee to hip, I just take my foot inside and I step right over his hip. My other hand comes out for base, my head drives, and I lock in position. So when he goes to elbow escape, there's just nothing there. Then my feet walk up, and look at that. We're in the high mounted position. One more time. Sorry, Pastor, this was not the most pleasant move to work. Walk your tape maker to this one. So,
You have no idea.
One day revenge will be yours. So from here, we come around the corner. God help me on that day. I step over the top. My knee over his hip. I'm not hip to hip. Then it's very, very hard to step over. I'm knee to hip. Hand out wide for base. I don't step wide where Placido can catch my foot. Rather, I step through right here. Don't be clumsy and kick your training partner in the groin. Step over and find the hip. Plant your hand. Push, push, push with the leg. Knee comes down. Now my knee's wedged into the mat. He goes to elbow escape. It's tough. Find his elbow. Take it away and you're mounted. When he goes to work now, you're right up there in a high mounted position. No elbow escape in sight. And it's hard for him even to breathe. And this is my favorite way of getting mounted on tough, skilled opponents. We're looking at the skill of getting into the mounted position from side control. The general point that I'm trying to make here is that there's two philosophies of getting mounted corresponding to two scenarios. The first scenario is where your opponent is actively trying to stop you from getting mounted. Now, in order to do that, he needs to build elbow-knee connection. He needs to get inside position with his near side elbow. And we've seen a bunch of ways to beat these methods and get mounted on the guy that doesn't want us to get mounted. Now, there's an entirely different category of opponent who has no interest in defending the mount. He's worried about your ability to submit him. And so rather than bring knee and elbow connection, all he cares about is elbow rib connection. Okay? And that's going to make it really hard to get submission holds on these people, because in general, the more contracted his body, the lower it is to the ground, the harder it is to get mounted on people. They make it doubly hard by going flat back. Okay, flat back is where they put two shoulders on the mat. If Placido goes single shoulder and turns onto a single shoulder in this direction, that's going to create the ability to form underhooks. If he goes in the other direction, single shoulder, that creates back exposure. Okay, if he starts connecting knee and elbow, that creates leg exposure for leg locks. So your opponent reasons to himself, well, if I go flat back, there's no back exposure and there's no underhook exposure. If I put my feet on the floor, just your feet, then it's harder for my opponent to go into leg locks. If he puts his knees on the floor, then even less so. Okay, so this guy is going to be really hard to submit. There's no back exposure, no underhook exposure, no near side elbow exposure, no leg exposure. It's going to be tough. Okay, and so under these circumstances, what should I do? Well, The obvious answer is get mounted, because by denying you submissions, he's literally opened the door completely to getting mounted. You will often see this with my students, in particular with Gordon Ryan, where he gets across people's sides. So often people will come up to me after one of Gordon's matches and they'll say like, man, it's so easy for Gordon. Like, dude, he just gets across side. He just gets mounted on these guys. I mean, it's so easy for him. It's like, no, it's not easy for Gordon. The opponents Gordon's fighting are very good. When they fight other people, they look amazing. These are guys who get into the world championships and do very, very well. These are not poorly trained people. They're incredibly good athletes. But the thing is, they're very worried about Gordon's submissions. They know that once he gets past the leg, so I'm not playing aim. And the problem is this opens up to easy mounts. So people see Gordon get mounted on these guys. Oh, it's so easy for Gordon. He just puts his knee across and it's so easy. But please understand why this is happening. It's happening because they're afraid of the submission threat. And then once the opponent becomes obsessed with submission threat, you can't just sit in side control and try to fish for submissions when they're just not available. Like right now, for me to submit Placido from side control, it's going to be tough, man. He's not giving me a lot to work with here. His elbows are very well positioned by the ribs. His hands are very close together, so that even if I did get a hold of one of his arms, the other arm is there to protect it. There's no back exposure for me to work with. It's not going to be easy. So under these circumstances, what I always tell my students is speed mount. There's literally nothing there. There's a gap between his knee and elbow. You could drive a fucking truck through that gap. Okay, so this is not the time to be using a fancy method of getting mounted. This is not the time to, get a strong cross face and work your way methodically into the mount. There's literally nothing there stopping you. So this is the time for speed mounting. So what do we do with speed mounting? We don't even put on a cross face. In a speed mount, I just take my two hands and one goes right here with my thumb behind his collarbone and the other just goes to his hip. So I had my hands locked and I just go here, okay? Right off that position, I can just spring up and put my knee across my training partner's stomach. Now I go 1, 2, just like so. And then I join, Placido, can you rotate this way, buddy? Nope. From here, I take my left knee and I touch my right foot, boom, just like so. As that knee touches, I just bring my weight forward and I just slap out on either side. And we're mounted. Okay, so let's have a look at all that again. We're here, and I've looked at my opponent's posture, and I've reasoned to myself, okay, this guy's only concern is not getting submitted. So there's literally a gap you could drive a freaking truck through. At this point, it doesn't make sense for me to go through slowly, because then if I try to go through slowly, first of all, I can't get a crossface because he's got inside control. That's going to screw things up. And second, look at that. If I start working my way across slowly, that's when he can change his philosophy into resisting the mount and do other things. So this is not the time to procrastinate. It's not the time to dick around. This is the time to just go straight through the open door. Okay? So here we are. We're working. And I'm looking at this guy and saying, yep, this guy doesn't give a damn about being mounted. He's worried about being submitted. So my hands just pop out. At the same time, I come up and my knee slides in. From here, hands go forward, my head over his head. And then I just touch my foot straight in. As soon as my foot touches, my left foot's in position. Now I just slap out on the other side. And we're mounted. Okay? I'm just going to show you the other side so you can see what my foot's doing. Okay. We're here, the cross side, and yep, he's not interested in anything except survival. So it's time now to threaten the mount. I come up and pop. As the hands open, I just come up, foot touches, second leg, slaps out. So if he went for an elbow escape, my whole knee is pointed against him. There's no foot availability. If I'm naive and I just come up and he turns to his left and I put my foot between his legs, I've given ankle exposure and he gets me. So the whole thing is to slap out. Then when I come forward, my knee comes forward. So when he goes to elbow escape, I'm above the line of his hip. There's nothing for him to work with. Okay? So let's look at all that again. We're here across side, and he's, as you can see, he's stonewalling. He's given me a ton of space to work with, but no submissions to work with. So I come up, and we're mounted. Okay. Now, when you see guys like Gordon do this, it looks like it does look easy. You're like, oh man, this guy doesn't even know how to defend a mount. He sucks. No, he doesn't suck. He's really fucking good, but he's worried about being submitted, and so he's forced into a game of complete contraction. Now that does do a good job of shutting down side control submissions, but it makes it very, very easy to walk in through the front door with no hesitation and get mounted on them. Once you get mounted, then you switch from side system to mount system, which we covered in a separate video, and you work from there, and you just play those two between each other. Okay, so that's how we use speed mounting on overly defensive opponents whose only obsession is stopping submission attacks. Okay, this is not the time to procrastinate. Just go straight forward through the open door and use the method I just showed you to rack up points, getting to the mount, and switching to a completely different angle to attack using the mount system rather than the side system. We're looking at various ways of getting mounted. We've seen that there's essentially two philosophies that my opponent can employ when he's waiting underneath my side control. He can either try to shut down my ability to move forward to the mount. We've seen how to deal with that. Or he can try and shut down my ability to submit him from side control. And we're looking now at how to deal with this scenario. We just looked at the speed method, which my students often make use of in competition, especially when they have very cautious opponents who are afraid of submission holds. Now let's look at what is unquestionably one of my favorite ways of getting mounted in pretty much both circumstances. You can use this both against the guy who's afraid of being submitted, or you can use it against the more conventional opponent who's interested in stopping you getting mounted. This method runs a little different from what you got taught most of your career in jiu-jitsu. Normally we're taught to drive the knee across the belt line. I'm going to teach you instead to angle your knee away